We are joined now on the line by KT McFarland, Fox News national security analyst. Hello, KT. How are you?
Good morning.
Let's talk about Ukraine, because one of the things that we've been developing as a sort of an interesting conversation point here has to do with the fact that Vladimir Putin probably looked around and said, look, I probably can endure the sanctions. I probably can endure condemnation by the world community, by international authorities. I could probably do that. UN, if they say bad things about me, I'll survive it all. The people love me because I'm trying to put back the old Soviet Union, trying to put the old band back together. And the only thing that would stop him, it would seem, would be if he had to wonder about what the United States would do. And it seems to me that during the course of this administration, they have repeatedly sort of transmitted the idea that they're not really too interested in having a conflict anywhere else in the world, and therefore they probably would do nothing. Is that something that has merit? Is that an argument that has merit? Because, you know, other presidents we always sort of looked at him and we go, I don't know, Reagan just might go in there. or George W. Bush, who knows what that cowboy's going to do. But with this guy, it's like, nah, he's not going to do anything. You knew it up front.
I think that's absolutely fair enough. You know, look, I'm a parent, and common sense tells you when you tell your kids, you better do this or else, and you never deliver the or else.
Yeah.
They're going to just keep doing whatever they want to do, and they'll probably do even more the next time.
No consequences.
No consequence for your behavior. And so it's almost worse that Obama keeps going around saying there's a red line here, there are going to be serious consequences there, Iran, you're not going to develop nukes, North Korea, you better not test a missile. And then they do, and nothing happens. So the next time, the next guy's even more emboldened. So, yes, I think there's an awful lot to that. I think similarly, the Russians got the measure of Jimmy Carter. Similarly, knowing that, well, whatever he may say, he's never going to do anything. And they've determined that Obama's not going to ever do anything. He'll make a bunch of speeches, empty threats. But, you know, the severe consequences are a dozen guys got their visas denied, and they froze bank accounts that had already been emptied out. You know, so these bunch of Russian oligarchs are going to have to summer in Sochi this year and not in the Hamptons. I don't think that's a price Obama even cares about. So I think, in fact, what it's done is embolden him. Watch Eastern Ukraine next. Watch Moldova. I think Putin's going to try to grab whatever he can, as quickly as he can, seeing that not only was there no response from the United States, but no real significant response from the Europeans.
Hillary Clinton last night, our former greatest Secretary of State in the history of the United States of America.
Maybe of all time.
And our future president, because, well, you know, it's inevitable. Hillary Clinton said this about the Russian situation.
I hope there's not another Cold War. Obviously, nobody wants to see that. I think that's primarily up to Putin.
Is that true? Is this really just up to Putin? I mean, why are we on the international stage saying we got nothing to say about this?
I would have handled that differently.
Yeah.
Yeah, what would you have said?
I would have said there's very little we can do today, but there's an awful lot we can start today to make a difference down the road. And that would be all the things that I've been saying for several years, which is, you know, build the Keystone Pipeline, frack, go to the Europeans, particularly Poland and Ukraine, saying, how can we help you frack? You guys have a lot of stuff under the ground. I would go to the southern countries around Russia, the stands, and say, how can we help you build pipelines that go take your energy to Europe and bypass Russia? And I think I would also be really tough with Putin privately, not publicly, privately, and said, we're going to crush your economy. And you are nobody in 5 years unless you develop your Eastern Siberian energy fields, and you can't do that without American technology and American investment. And since you never bothered to develop anything other than an export of oil economy, we're going to crush you there, too, because we're going to push the price of oil down below $90 a barrel. You guys are going to be on your knees.
So you agree with John McCain's characterization that Russia is really just a gas station posing as a country. They without gas and oil, they're nothing.
Correct.
Yeah, great.
They're worse than nothing. Here's why. Because they have a big social network that they built up. They have a declining population, so they're going to have a lot of old retired people living off of a fewer number of workers. And it was a conscious decision that Putin made, if you go back to his doctoral dissertation, of using Russia's commodities, Russia's natural resources to make itself great again. And as a result, they have not developed their heavy industry. Their finance ministers and the Russian sort of finance-type guys are going around the world looking for people to invest in Russia to build factories, to bring their technology so Russia can develop that, but they don't have it now. And that's their big vulnerability. So, promise privately to break Putin's kneecaps and then publicly say nice things about him.
Huh.
But I think at this point where there's nothing we can do today, but there's everything we can start today, and it will have a different calculation.
Well, it would help if we would stop hoping and actually, back up our threats. But anyway, I want to move on to Malaysia. Look, everybody has a theory, and everybody is working on limited facts, and quite frankly, it's frustrating because the facts change hour by hour. We don't know what's true and what's not, and I guess it's because we're working with very limited data, and it depends on how you analyze these data. What's your sense of the Malaysian situation?
I think we should stop asking what do we know or don't know about this plane. It's either we haven't heard anybody take credit for it, we haven't found the plane. So the plane's either gone, destroyed, died, crash in the sea, or it's not. And that maybe one of the reasons we haven't heard is because whatever this action is, it hasn't finished yet. Terrorist action, other plans to come. I think an important thing we can do now, though, is turn it and flip it and say it's not what do we know about the plane, it's what is our reaction to this show the bad guys. What does it reveal about us? Because it reveals quite a bit.
Well,
first, security in the third world is lax. Second, we don't have eyes in the sky for everything. We thought we could see everything that happened on the planet. Turns out we can't. And third, the world isn't sharing all the information. Whatever we have.
Yeah, what's up with that?
Well, I think countries don't want to reveal what they know and how they know it. To me, though, the most important tragedy of all this is that we don't have a protocol for dealing with this. This is a multi-nation event, right? And so who has been in charge? It's the lead country, Malaysia. That's the C. That's not even the B team. That's the C team.
Yeah.
And the United States, which is probably pretty good at stuff like this, we're the A team. It took us a week to get in there. Now, were we not invited? Were we told to stand down? Were we not organized? We need to have a protocol as a world to deal with this because this is not going to be the last rodeo.
Well, I thought we had a United Nations.
Oh, I know. That's where Hillary Clinton can go.
You mean after her 2 terms as the greatest and first female president, because, it's inevitable.
I don't think anything in life is inevitable, other than the fact that if you make threats to your kids and don't carry them out, it's inevitable.
You're right about that.
Thank you, KT.
Bye, guys.
All right.